Good afternoon. We're in Jellico, Kentucky. And notice I didn't say Jellico, Tennessee, because that's not where I'm at. I'm in Jellico, Kentucky. I've seen a lot of online videos, a lot of stories about this building behind me. And I'm kind of curious about it. This is the site of the old Boston Lodge and the Knights of Pythias Lodge in a town called Jellico, Kentucky. Yes, there was a Jellico, Kentucky. It actually preceded Jellico, Tennessee by a few years. Jellico, Tennessee, back in that day, I believe it was called Smithtown or Smithburg. And in the 1890s, they changed the name to Jellico, Tennessee. Jellico, Kentucky, I'm not sure how long that town existed. I think sometime into the 30s or 40s. But it was a town. In fact, one of the first law enforcement officers killed in Whitley County in the line of duty was killed in Jellico, Kentucky. He was the town marshal here. But this lodge, myself, I'm a Mason. I was regularly initiated, passed, and raised. Hugh Harris Lodge in Corbin. Also a past master. I'm a Shriner and a member of the York Rite who's been knighted. So I've been around Masonry for a while. Heard a lot of history about Masonic Masonry here in this area. Randall Parton, secretary at Williamsburg Lodge 490, did a historic program mentioning this lodge, the Boston Lodge. This was the first lodge in Whitley County. Currently in Whitley County we have two lodges, Williamsburg 490 and Hugh Harris 938 at Corbin. But at one time we had quite a few other lodges. This was the first one. It was called Boston. And it later combined with Williamsburg in the early 1900s, along with another lodge that was at Rocco. The three of those combined to make Williamsburg 490. There was also a lodge at Woodbine. There was a Cooper Lodge at Corbin and Hugh Harris Lodge at Corbin. And the Woodbine Lodge, actually there were two of those. One of them failed, and they restarted it with a second lodge at Woodbine, and then it failed as well, or merged with Cooper Lodge, one or the other. Cooper Lodge eventually merged with Hugh Harris at Corbin. They both for a brief time met in the old city hall at Corbin. But this kind of interesting building, you could see it's burned out. My understanding was there was a grocery store in here. I think it was called Creekmore's grocery store. I'm not sure how long that existed in this building, but at one time it was here. The building, of course, has fallen in. Many of these downtown buildings in Jellico, I believe it was 1906 when they had the dynamite explosion. This was a coal town and a rail town. 1906 they had an explosion of a dynamite car that had about 20 tons of dynamite on it, and it destroyed nearly everything in this town. It busted the windows out of every single window out of every building in it, knocked bricks down, knocked all kinds of things loose. I'm not sure, I don't believe that's what totaled this building. This building was in use after that. But the lodge merged with Williamsburg, I want to say around 1910, 1912, somewhere in that neighborhood, and it ceased to exist down here. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, you know, today we get ready to go somewhere, we jump in the car and we hit the interstate. We going to Florida or Atlanta or whatever. We get in the car and we head on down I-75 and we eventually get there. Well, that's not the way it worked in the 1800s. In the 1800s, if you wanted to go a long distance, hopefully there was a rail line that took you there. Jellico, Tennessee was a rail town. It was a mix of two railroads. It was where the Southern Railroad came, and it had a yard here, went through Elk Valley on its way back towards Knoxville. It's also where the L&N Railroad came to, which what became the L&N Railroad. Both of those railroads, the Southern and the L&N, they combined a lot of smaller lines. Back in those days, people would build a line to a mine, and they would get it out to a main line, and then when the line kind of petered out, the mine did, they would sell it out, and that line would become part of L&N or Southern or whoever the bigger corporation was. They would buy the line and take it over. But back in those days, if you were in Cincinnati and you wanted to go to Atlanta, it was mandatory that you stop in Jellico. And Jellico was a huge place, had a lot of people in, had a lot of motels, a lot of restaurants, a lot of taverns, because you had a lot of people stopping here. Oftentimes they would have to wait overnight or maybe wait more than one day in Jellico to catch a train. And the reason for that is the L&N Railroad stopped at Jellico up till around 1903. It was 1903 before the L&N line was completed through what we call the Narrows along 25 along the Clear Fork River down into La Follette and then on into Knoxville. So if you were on the L&N line out of Cincinnati, this was as far as you could go. You had to stop here and get on a southern train. They had an interchange track here that come right down on the other side where Ray Superior Market used to be. It's where Save-A-Lot is now. But they had an interchange track that came down here and joined the Southern Railroad over where Veterans Park is here in Jellico, which was a southern yard. And you had to change lines. It's kind of like changing airplanes. It's kind of like if you fly anywhere today, you get on a plane in Knoxville, you go to Atlanta and then get on another plane, because that's as far as your plane goes. Back then, that's as far as the railroad went. But like I said, if you were going anywhere south of here, you had to stop in Jellico and change trains, just like flying out of Knoxville and going to Atlanta and having to get on a different plane to go finish your journey wherever you were going. Same thing goes here. That's what made Jellico what it was. A lot of coal came into this area. This was a coal mining community, and it was a train community that hauled the coal to market. Back in those days, I read a statistic that Knoxville burnt about 100,000 tons of coal a year at the turn of the century, 1900. And a lot of that coal came out of this county, came out of this area. But we're just going to kind of look over this building and see what we can find. Okay, kind of at the top, you can see the capstone. It says Boston Lodge, number 583. That was the Masonic Lodge that was in this building. And then over here, you've got the capstone for the Knights of Pythias Lodge. Hillside Lodge, number 51 KP. That's the Knights of Pythias. They were side by side in these buildings, in these row buildings. And obviously they had something else in the bottom, probably stores of that kind. Back then there were, of course, a lot of people down here. Today there's about 2,500 people in this area. Not so many as there were, but back in the mining days, there would have been thousands. They would have been down here working these mines by hand. You know, machinery didn't exist then. The machinery was a strong back and a shovel and a pick and a mule and a donkey to haul the coal around. But these buildings obviously fallen in. They're ready to go. They're not in any kind of a city. I saw one comment on the internet that maybe the city ought to have these tore down for safety reasons. The city doesn't have anything to do with them because they are not in the city of Jellico. They were in the now defunct city of Jellico, Kentucky. The city of Jellico, Kentucky no longer exists. Finding records as to exactly when that city was started and when it ended is almost impossible. Back in those days, these mining camps, there were hundreds of these in eastern Kentucky, East Tennessee, and they all had different names. You had Wynn, Haversham, Gatliff, Packard, all kinds of different places like that were seemingly cities unto themselves. You know, a coal mine back in those days could employ 3,000 people. They worked 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week, digging coal and hauling coal out, and had a lot of employees. But kind of sad to see an old building like this deteriorate and fall down. But I know I'm looking kind of shaggy today, and we're going to head over and see my buddy, fellow mason Gary Taylor at Gary's Barbershop here in Corbin, and discuss this building a little further, discuss you know, how masonry developed here. Actually, back in 1900, there were 2 lodges in Jellico. There was a Tennessee Lodge, of which I'm also a member. Jellico Lodge, it existed. The Grand Lodge of Tennessee formed it after the Grand Lodge of Kentucky opened this one. This lodge kind of calved off the lodge at Barberville, Mountain Lodge now, today. It calved off a bit. At one time, Whitley County was part of Knox County back in the early part of the 1800s. Knox County is a much older county. But we're going to head over to the barber shop and get our ears trimmed and beard straightened up, and maybe talk a little bit more about this building. This is KR4 Golf Whiskey Delta. We're here in Jellico, Tennessee. No, we're not either. We're here in Jellico, Kentucky, taking a look at this old Boston Lodge building. All right, we're down at Gary's Barbershop here in Jellico, Tennessee, on the Tennessee side. Just on the other side from the state line from the lodge that we took a look at. Got all kinds of interesting monuments. Monument to the 10 Commandments, thou shalt have no other God before me. And a monument to Coach Ferris, or mural to him, painted on the side of the building. We're going to take off inside and talk to Gary, past master of Jellico 527. See what he's got to say. Randall Parker.
Does Randall know the history of it too?
Yeah, man.
Gary does too.
It was the first lodge in the county, Gary.
Yeah, and it helped establish the Winsburg Lodge.
Yeah. They combined, Williamsburg was Edgerton Lodge back then.
That's right.
And they combined it with this lodge to make Williamsburg 490. They kept the 490. The 490 was Williamsburg's number. But this one was started by Barville, the Mountain Lodge, my understanding. And I don't know, was it started predating to Whitley County?
I don't know. Perkins told me all about it. It may have been.
Which, by the way, I may be making Gary nervous filming this here in Gary's Barbershop.
Oh no, I ain't a bit nervous.
If you ever come to Jellico, you need to come get your hair cut here. Got the most interesting barbershop in the state of Tennessee. You know, that lodge, Gary, was originally in Jellico, Kentucky.
Right.
Which was an incorporated city.
Yep.
And my understanding is Jellico, Kentucky preceded Jellico, Tennessee.
That's what
Jellico, Tennessee wasn't Jellico until like 1892 or 3. And I want to say that Jellico, Kentucky was incorporated like in 1881 or 2 or something like that.
That's about right. That's what Perkins tells me.
And back then was it Jellico, Tennessee was it Smithtown or Smithburg or something like that?
There's a sign, historical sign right on that corner.
Okay.
It tells you all about it. Yep.
Okay. Do you know what else was in that lodge building over time?
I know the building next to it, Ray Maiden had a grocery store.
Okay.
The one on the very corner.
Okay.
That was Ray's store.
The original one.
Yep.
I miss old Ray.
Boy, I do too. He was a good man.
Ray was my buddy.
I still got his obituary over here in the window, on the mirror. Yeah, Ray was a good guy. He was a good friend of my dad's.
I've got a Bible marker that they gave me at Ray's funeral.
Yeah. I'll show you a neat item that I got just the other day. I've been trying to get one for 28 years. Ever since I've been up here, I've been trying to find one. And Ray was going to give me one, but he would forget to bring it, and then he fell sick, I think.
All right. That's a Ray quarter, ain't it?
25 cents. Yeah.
25 cents.
Yeah, it's quarter. Yeah. Ray Superior Market, Jellico, Tennessee. Yep. They had Jim. He had one. Creekmore's up here had one. I've yet to get one from them 2 stores. I'll find one eventually. Yeah.
Do you remember when? Do you remember when that guy won that lottery, big lottery race?
Yeah.
What was it, $9 million?
Yeah, he's way up there. Yeah.
Yeah, Ray. Back then, I think the store, what did they get? 5% of that or 10% or something?
Yeah, it was a percentage. I'm not sure how much.
Some kind of percentage.
Yep.
Well, Ray brought him a brand new John Deere tractor with him. And I run over there to insure it for him. He called me and I had to go get the numbers off his. I kind of looked at him. That's the first cab tractor I'd ever seen. There ain't nobody had cab tractors around here back then. That thing, man, it had everything. It had air conditioning and had radios in it. I don't know what all. I said, Ray, that lottery money going a little quick, ain't it? He said, I've got more in mine than that crazy fool that won that $9 million got his.
He was from my father or something, wasn't he? More than one. He wasn't from here.
I think it was Oak Ridge.
Yeah, he would drive here and buy a lottery ticket. Tennessee didn't have a lottery at the time.
Yep. This place is Butch's.
Yep. I had a lady done my taxes back then, lived in Knoxville. Her office in Knoxville. And that's how she wanted to pay for doing my taxes.
And lottery tickets?
I'd stop and get her lottery tickets. Yeah.
Well, you know what?
The craziest thing I ever heard in my life.
When I lived in Knoxville, you get that.
Yeah, man.
That fur, man. I'm good. Gary, I know when I lived in Knoxville, there were a few stores that had Kentucky lottery tickets for sale.
Yeah.
And every now and then the sheriff down there would go confiscate them. And
they had them in Tennessee selling?
Yeah. There was a store there close to where Desperados was on Paper Mill.
Yeah.
And they actually had signs out front, we have Kentucky lottery tickets. And that was one of the first ones the sheriff got down there. I remember that. But I walked into the store over at towards Bean Station, I think it is right at Cherokee Lake. And that old lady had a bunch of lottery tickets in this, one of them dispenser things. And I said, well, did Tennessee pass their lottery? She kind of carried down. She said, no. Those are Kentucky tickets. She had the same display they had at Butch's in Williamsburg.
Wow.
Be my guess that them come from Butch's in Williamsburg. All right, we started out in Jellico, Kentucky. Now we're in Jellico, Tennessee, Indian Mountain State Park. We've got an antenna thrown up in a tree. This is the rig I used to throw that up in the tree. It's a tree trimmer's slingshot, and what it does, it throws about a pound weight up across a limb, tied to a rope, and then you drag it up with your baling. I've got a dipole set for 40-meter legs on it, and we're going to get on the air and see who we can find. This is History and Ham Radio, taking the radio out of the shack with KR4 Golf Whiskey Delta. We're in Jellico, Tennessee. Been visiting the Boston Lodge, Gary's Barbershop, and now we're in Indian Mountain State Park going to do a little radio.
I guess you're hearing me.
All right, looks like we got a couple of guys here, maybe three, having a little QSO. They're on 72, 75, 7.275, 40-meter band. Got a 991A Yazoo, a little bit wounded. It only puts out about 50 watts. Like I said, we got a homemade dipole thrown up in this tree across the limb here. We're going to see what we can do. This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. Kind of jumping in with you fellas. I'm at Indian Mountain State Park in Jellico, Tennessee. Portable, battery powered with a 991 Yazoo, 50 watts.
Roger on all that. Well, I got you about an S8 over here in Kings Mountain, North Carolina.
All right, I appreciate the comeback. Kings Mountain, that's over in the western part of the state.
No, it's more towards the central. It's only about 30 miles west of Charlotte.
Okay, sounds like I'm doing pretty good east and west. I'm right down in the valley right below Jellico Mountain on I-75.
Yeah, been up and down Jellico a bunch of times in the big truck years ago.
Boy, me too.
I guess you're about S7, right at my noise floor in Greenville, South Carolina. So you're sounding good. I've got to see Miss Leslie. She just walked in the door, guys. AB4, PQA.
Alright, Terry.
Intel, K4WP.
KT4TXN.
All right, I appreciate the comeback, guys. This is KR4 Golf Whiskey Delta. I do a little thing called History and Ham, taking the radio out of the shack. Been doing some YouTube videos on that. This is the third one I'm doing. Jellico, Tennessee was the home of the first lodge in Kentucky. I started out actually in Jellico, Kentucky, which no longer exists. It was a 1800s era town that's defunct and gone now.
Roger that. Well, have fun out there. I call Kilo 4 Whiskey Papa Yankee. His name is Mike. I'm in Kings Mountain, by the way.
I'm in Gilbert, South Carolina, KG4TXN.
I'm in Rome, Georgia, K4CAW, and you're about a 6 to a 7 here in Rome, Georgia.
All right, good to hear from you. I've been to Rome, Georgia a time or two. I had a guy down there from, I can't think of what the name of that college is. It's a Methodist college. He was doing a service project on a Methodist church up in eastern Kentucky and left a trailer in my driveway full of tools and supplies for about 3 or 4 days.
That was probably Shoulder University.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. You have a good evening. This is KR4 Golf Whiskey Delta. I'm going to be clear.
All right, well, see you sounding good back this way. Have yourself a good evening.
All right, this is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. We're down here in Indian Mountain State Park, Jellico, Tennessee, trying to make a few contacts on our history and radio. Taking the radio out of the shack.
Not really. My grandparents.
We'll see if we can break in on these guys. Sounds like they got a QSO going.
Moved from North Carolina to Somerset, Kentucky, then to Mason, Ohio. And that's where their roots were from.
Very good. Your signal, by the way, is very good over in the red. There's not too many stations out there that it's possible to hear tonight, or almost 5 o'clock.
Sounds like the band's a little rough today.
I was just curious where that station was, and also make the comment that your signal is making it towards North Carolina with no problem. Over.
Roger that. We are not going to do a 73 round, anyone that's listening.
Sounds like we got a Ned
We're
here.
going to run this. He's awful late on the 73 round. I just don't have the first hour list, so I have no idea who to call. And if there's anybody out there that wants to say check in to say 73s or whatever, feel free to call in. This is WA8FDF.
This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. This is Skip. I'm in Jellico, Tennessee at Indian Mountain State Park. Portable, battery powered on a 991A Yaesu.
Yeah, there's a guy in Jellico, I believe it is, WA8FDF. You're pretty weak, but I can hear you. You're battery powered?
Roger, I'm battery powered on a 991A Yaesu that's wounded. It'll only put out 50 watts. And kind of down in the hole. You're over in North Carolina?
Okay, what's your call sign?
Call sign is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta.
Okay, KR4 GWG, WA8FDF. You're coming up and down a little bit and with QSB, but I caught most of that. You're saying you're in a campground?
Yeah, I'm portable in a park.
Okay, we'll just hang on, guys. We used to drive through that all the time when we would go to Florida as a kid. That was one of the towns I thought was had a really cool name.
It's named after a seam of coal. The seam of coal was called Jellico coal. It was an old coal town and a railroad town. It was the junction of the L&N Railroad and the Southern Railroad. Back in the late 1800s, if you wanted to go from Cincinnati, Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia, it was mandatory that you stop in Jellico and get off the L&N train and to get on the Southern train.
Okay, well, we had, it was, I think, when we would take, I forget, when we would drive to Florida, I mean, this is long before, this is back in the early 50s before there were expressways. It was either 25 or 27 we would take, and one of those would go through Jellico, and I was always happy when they would say, yeah, we're going to go through Jellico next.
25 does go through Jellico. 27 is about 20 miles west of 25W. It actually goes through Oneida, Tennessee, but 25W does go through Jellico. I do a little thing called History and Ham, taking the radio out of the shack and down here filming a little video on a Boston Lodge that was located in Jellico, Kentucky. At one time there was a Jellico, Kentucky and a Jellico, Tennessee.
Yeah, this was Tennessee for sure.
Oh, they were side by side. The line runs right through the middle of Jellico. Jellico, Kentucky was actually a little bit older of a town, by about 5 years. At that time, Jellico, Tennessee was called Smithtown, and it changed names, I believe, in 1892 to Jellico, Tennessee. And around 1904 is when they completed the L&N Railroad to Knoxville, and that diverted the train traffic and kind of killed the town, turned it into a ghost town.
Yeah, did you know that Cincinnati, up until about 2 years ago, owned that railroad from there to Cincinnati, from at least Jellico to Cincinnati, and they sold it finally to the N&W, and or no, Norfolk Southern. They sold it to N&W. That's Norfolk Southern before it became Norfolk Big. Anyway, they sold it to them for billions of dollars.
That was the railroad on the west side. That line actually goes through Oneida and Somerset. The line that come up into Jellico, it comes up through Elk Valley, and Southern actually stops here. It does have some side tracks that go to some mines up in eastern Kentucky, but it doesn't go all the way to Cincinnati. The line that comes from Cincinnati is an old L&N line. It's of course CSX now.
Right. Cincinnati owned, at one time they owned everything on the L&N, and then they wound up with a line going from somewhere, I don't know how far south it went, but it went all the way up to Cincinnati. Like I said, Norfolk Southern bought it finally from, and I think it was like $2.4 billion.
I don't doubt it. That line there is a busy line. It's double tracked and runs a lot of trains. The L&N CSX line over here is single track, and it goes through a windy valley. It's called the Narrows. Goes right along 25W.
Okay. You know, that was, I was thinking back on it now. I mean, yeah, as an adult, I didn't appreciate when my dad drove that solo with no driver relief. My mom didn't have a driver's license back then, and he would drive all the way down to Miami from Cincinnati.
Man, that would be a rough drive back in the day without the interstate. I bet that'd take 3 days.
It took, at least I can remember doing 2 stops. I don't remember. I think he just drove until he got too tired, and then they got a motel room for the night. one time driving down there, we stopped at this place that they were having a ball game of some sort, and Dad took me over to watch. It's right across the street from the hotel. We're standing under some trees, and it started to rain, and all these ants came dropping out of the tree we were standing under. We were wondering why. I was wondering why no one else was standing underneath that tree.
I guess you're kind of fortunate they weren't fire ants, or maybe they were fire ants. I don't know.
They were in the tree, not. I thought fire ants lived in the ground, but this is back in probably about 57, maybe.
Okay, may have been carpenter ants if they were in a tree.
Yeah. I know I wasn't even 10 yet, so. Anyway, it's after 5 o'clock. We need to see if there's anyone else out there. Let's make one last call. Anyone out there that wants to say 73s, or anyone out there that wants to check in, last call. This WA8SDF for the afternoon 6-8 group.
This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. This is Skip. Jellico, Tennessee, Indian Mountain State Park Portable.
Yeah, I heard somebody coming out of Indian State Mountain Park. Kind of light on me, but I did hear you in there. The guy coming out of India State Park, come on back.
All right, this is Skip. This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. Skip. And I'm coming out of Indian Mountain State Park, Jellico, Tennessee, right along I-75, right on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky.
Roger, roger, up on the borderline of Tennessee and Kentucky. Okay, you're making a trip. I got you about a 5-6 yard coming down, but I didn't get the full call sign. Say your suffix. Say your suffix. I got Kilo Romeo 4, but I didn't get the rest, but I got Kilo Romeo 4.
Okay, the suffix is Golf Whiskey Delta. That's Golf Whiskey Delta. GWD.
Roger, roger. Golf Whiskey Delta. So I got Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. That's Ronnie in Kentucky, and Corbin, Kentucky. Yeah, hello, Ronnie. Yeah, I just adjusted my radio somewhere I can put in, and I do got you, like I said, about a 5-6, 5-7, but it's band condition right now. But beautiful signal coming here, great audio coming out of Kentucky there, Roger.
All right, thank you. I'm actually in Tennessee. I do a thing on YouTube. I call it History and Ham, taking the radio out of the shack. And right now I'm out in the park running off of a car battery in a box with a 991A that's wounded. It'll only do 50 watts. It won't even do 100. So I'm not surprised the signal's a little rough from here to there. This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta.
Roger, roger, Skip. Well, I tell you what, you are making a trip, buddy. You have no problem in the world. You're doing just what you need to do. Hey, you just key down and Mother Nature will do the rest. You actually just moved up. The band condition got a little better that time. I got you 5'9", 5'9" coming into the city of Chesapeake there, Roger.
Okay, I've noticed my east to west is pretty good down in this park. I'm right up against Jellico Mountain on I-75, so probably my north to south's not going to do very well.
Roger, roger. Well, your east to west is definitely working down here. Take care, and I'm glad you chimed in there so I can get you in my log. Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. Skip, take care. This is Doug in Virginia. Delta Oscar Uniform Golf, Kilowatt, Quebec 4, Bravo Radio, Germany. Take care.
Delta Oscar Uniform Golf. This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. I'll call 73 to you.
Roger, roger. Kilowatt, Quebec 4, Bravo Radio, Germany. Take care, my friend. CQ.
This is Kilo Romeo 4 Golf Whiskey Delta. This is Skip. Indian Mountain State Park, Jellico, Tennessee. Okay, you're sounding pretty good. You said I'm 5'7". Where are you located?
Delta 7, UVA Whiskey Foxtrot. Thank you for contact 73, bye-bye.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm in Jellico, Tennessee, United States.
Passenger Juliet Whiskey Foxtrot. This is Echo America 7. Japan Whiskey Lima. For destination.
Sounds like that one's in Japan. Worked that with a set of 40-meter ears on a dipole here in Indian Mountain State Park. That's going to do it for today. We're going to back up and head on out. This is History and Ham taking the radio out of the shack. KR4 Golf Whiskey Delta. This is Skip, Indian Mountain State Park, Jellico, Tennessee.